Welcome to the Put On Waivers Media Group, home of the Put On Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome, everybody, to the glorious episode of the Student Body Right USC podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, and as always, I am podcasting on the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. POR. SPR is my Twitter handle, so check me out there. All your stuff on from USC for the Raiders, the terrible San Francisco Giants. All those tweets, all those takes will be there for you, and information for you as well. I guess I my last show I talked about the Save College Sports Act, whatever, and I guess some teams want to leave their conferences. So I talked about how if you want to leave your conference, it's going to be a 5-year probation period where you're just in limbo for 5 years, right? So there's an addendum to that where they have said now that if you have 180 days to join a conference or something like that now. So if you're the Florida States of the world or one of those teams that want to leave the ACC, they have that time period here where they could leave and not have to receive that probationary period. So it's interesting. It's the ever-changing world in college football. Everybody's trying to join one big conference. I just don't know how that works for college football, if you will. So we'll see if the Florida State Seminoles or the Miami Hurricanes end up in the Big Ten or end up in the SEC. It's just a weird time in college football. So everybody's trying to solidify themselves. I thought they also talked about in that act not to have like a mega conferences. Like not to have two conferences that just dominate. I guess the 19 team is the number where you're sitting here where it's like too many teams. So we'll see if that actually works. See what happens as far as college football goes. But there's a 180-day time period, which they probably negotiate. They probably say, hey, we probably need 180 days to around 180 days to negotiate getting out. Can we have that in this too? Because we want to leave the ACC. And then, we'll just have two super conferences, the AFC and NFC in college football. So we'll see what happens there. I'm Kurt Signetti. So Captain Kirk here is the obviously national champions. They won it last year with Fernando Mendoza and a cast of others. So Amari Cooper, all people like that. Everybody's giving them flack now. Everybody's going nuts about it because they had a home series scheduled with Notre Dame. They had that scheduled. They were ready to go to play Notre Dame, and now they quote unquote backed out of it. They were the ones who left that on the table. I tweeted out the other day that Notre Dame left it. No, it was actually Indiana who left it. They didn't want to play the game anymore, and they're getting a lot of shit for it because everybody's saying, hey, this is Kirk Signetti. This is big tough Kirk Signetti. Why is he backing out of that game? I can tell you why he backed out of that game. And I will inform everybody who's on the Notre Dame side of this. He backed out of that game because he plays in the motherfucking Big Ten. Okay? He plays in the Big Ten. They just won the championship, bro. They beat an all-time defense in Ohio State last year. That was one of the best defenses Ohio State has ever had in their history. And they beat them. Okay, they beat Oregon twice last year. Like they won a miracle game against a really pesky Penn State team at home in Pennsylvania. Like, I mean, I'm not sure like what they have to prove anymore. And all these guys have been in their places. Lincoln Riley's been there for 5 years, who we cover. We got Stark out there in Texas for all these years. And he won it in year 2. And went undefeated in the process. So this idea that we're going to come after them and who plays in the Premier Conference. I mean, this is like 4 championships in a row now by the Big Ten, 3 or 4 rings in a row for them without an SEC team in sight. I mean, big bad Alabama. I forgot they beat Alabama in the playoffs. Alabama was a top 10 team when they beat Alabama, and they throttled Alabama. They defecated on Alabama. And I'm sure all these transfer rules are to stop teams like Indiana. So at the end of the day, like, I mean, this team should not in any way whatsoever be a team that feels bad about rescheduling or not scheduling a game against Notre Dame. Like, it'd have been nice to have that little in-state rivalry, if you will, between the two. And it must really piss off Notre Dame fans that it's been since 1988 since they won it. And Indiana just, got this new coach, and bam, bam, they won a championship already. But they're under no obligation to play Notre Dame. Let me repeat that for people in the back. Indiana is under no obligation to play Notre Dame. It's a nice to have, not a need to have. Nice to have, not a need to have. So giving them, sugar honey iced tea about playing this game is it's just silly. This happens all the time. USC just backed out of a game, a back-to-back home-and-home series with Texas Tech. Probably because it's more profitable for them to play Notre Dame, and they're playing Notre Dame now. Starting in 2030, if we're still around. But I mean, let's just be like real, and trying to criticize, Indiana for getting out of that game is just like the coddling of the independence of UConn. I mean, of Notre Dame. We just keep coddling. If they want to play in Indiana every year or every couple of years, they're welcome to join the Big Ten. I am sure the Big Ten will go through hoops to get them to come to their conference, if you will. The Bloom Football Center is up and running for USC, and the video is pretty cool. So we'll watch that real quick and come right back.
And where you begin to understand who you can become. For generations, Trojans have carried this place on their shoulders. The names change, but the responsibility never does. To honor those who came before you and build something worthy of those who come next. Because no one builds a legacy alone. We do it together.
It means everything.
And now, we come home. A new standard. Not just for USC, but for college football. Built on a belief that the future can be even greater than the past. Every space, every surface, every detail, designed to make greatness feel inevitable. A home built for the highest level, for the best in the world, and for an undeniable future. Now, that future has a home. Worthy of everything that came before, and ready for everything that's next. Welcome home, Trojans. Fight on.
All right, cool. And let me make sure I get the name correctly because it's the Bloom Football Performance Center. So I'm sure we have to think of a nickname for this place if I'm coming up here. But it looks great. It looks fantastic. Everything for the Trojans seems to be falling into place. They have a really good. They got a president. They got a new president falling into place. They got an AD. Things are falling into place. They got a general manager, really good. Just constructed one of the best recruiting classes in the history of the school. It's Lincoln's turn. Like we can't. I mean, there's no other way around it. I mean, this team is the most talented team he's had. This is not about next year. We can talk about Natty. Okay, but in order to get to Natty, let's just get to the playoff first. You got to find a way to get to the playoffs. I don't care. And I know that, like I said, everybody talks about all these different games. This is a 4-game series. This is a 4-game season for USC. The season is at Indiana, at Penn State, and then home against Oregon and home against Ohio State. And just like last year, they just need to go 2-2. They didn't do it last year. They went 1-3 in those road games. They got to find a way. And there's no reason why they should not make the playoffs. Like it's just you can't keep making. You can't 18 starters coming back from last year. Really good offensive line. They have a plethora of depth on defensive line, and not just depth, but quality depth. The backfield is just filled with people. I mean, they have players all over the place. So it's very important that they make the playoffs this year. And even if they're one and done, they just need to make it. They need to have that week where we can dream. And God forbid, if they somehow if they somehow win enough games where they can get a home game at the Coliseum, that would be something really special. But the Bloom Performance Football Center is up. It's running. It looks beautiful. It looks great. Just texting some people who cover USC a little bit more intimately and who have been in the building have said it is just a sight to behold. So it'd be kind of cool to kind of see if they give tours or whatever. It'd be kind of cool if they do that. Also, I mean, I think one thing they could use. I didn't see the sword. The sword being the sword in stone where they tap the back of the sword before they hit the field. That has to be somewhere. So hopefully they can figure that out. Tradition is a big thing, and they got to have that at SC, if you will. So USC has their first big time issue as far as injuries go. So the season just started. They're in fall camp. They're feeling good, and then they lose Killian O'Connor immediately. And I think this is a situation where, like, you don't want to lose Killian O'Connor. It stinks. I feel bad for him because this is the second year in a row he got hurt. This here was just a absolute freak injury, and he ends up breaking his leg. So we don't know how long he's definitely gonna be out for the year. So it's just unfortunate timing for him. You wish him and his family all the best, but it just stinks because he's coming from a long line of Trojans from his father and his grandfather and everything like that. So it does stink that he's not going to be around this season, but this is where the depth comes in. Some seasons this would actually destroy USC. This is a year where it shouldn't. They have Willie Washer, if you will, and they do have Tobias Raymond. I think Tobias Raymond is going to end up being the center eventually. As they kind of go through this. Tobias Raymond is gigantic. Like he is, he's 310, and he's 6. He's also 6'6". I mean, he's a big dude. So like, this is going to be, you have him at center. This is going to be a absolute massive offensive line for USC, and they're going to need it because, again, the season starts in week 5 when they play Oregon. They can't keep losing to Oregon. You can't be telling me, you can't keep making these signs out here that says the best in California play at USC and then you keep losing to Oregon, and Oregon can come into town and say, hey, you know what, USC is nice, good facility, whatever, but we beat them all the time. We beat them all the time. Dude, this fly is killing me. You can't be sitting here saying that we're gonna be playing all this stuff about we're back. USC is the place to be. All the little mottos that they have all over the city, but you can't beat Oregon. Gotta start splitting those series, man. You gotta at least, it starts where beating them in your building. You start beating them in your building, then okay, we got it. They have to start doing it, and we'll see if they start doing it this year. But that's gonna be the biggest thing for SC to kind of get over that hump. And if they win that game, then it starts to say you don't want to be late in the season trying to have to win a November game at Indiana. If you're gonna play Oregon, I think that's the best time to play them. They have a couple of coordinators who are improving. Their offensive line is not as strong as it was last year. So this is going to be a game of whoever beats up the quarterback. But it's going to be a game where everybody's going to be watching. Everybody's going to be watching to see how good Oregon is. They're going to be watching to see if SC is back. All those things right there are going to be the things that everybody's going to be talking about. So we'll see what happens as far as that goes. So anybody write USC podcast. The big, like I said, the big news was losing Killian O'Connor. We'll see if they can bounce back from that and see who they can put at center. We'll see. We'll talk about who's playing first team, second team center coming up next episode. The Bloom is in full effect, so we'll see how that really helps USC recover and stay on the field and do all these different things. I mean, some of these videos are just amazing that you see. They just look incredible. Like how could you not want to? If you're on the fence, how could you not want to come to USC? After seeing some of these videos, his videos look absolutely incredible, if you will, of the Bloom Football Performance Center. It just looks crazy, and the envy of college football right now, as far as that building goes. All right, anybody write USC podcast? Fight on, folks. This fly is just driving me crazy, and I'm about to give him a smackdown. I'll talk to you later. Peace.